If you guys remember, we recently did a video on the fix rifle, the Q-Fix bolt action rifle. Kind of doesn't look like a bolt action rifle. It's something different, and it's chambered for something wildly different. The 8.6 Blackout. Oh, we put a hole in the jug and some water splashed up. The bullets on this baby, it's a .338 inch diameter bullet. Think 338 Federal, 338 Win Mag, but look at that short little case. So there's not much powder pushing this thing. It was designed as a military option for subsonic shooting, quiet. Put a suppressor on and you're really quiet with a launch speed of around 1,050 feet per second. These are 300 grain bullets. And a lot of people said, "What, Ron, what are you covering that for? I'm not going deer hunting with a solid 300 grain bullet going that slowly, etc., etc." The reason that a lot of hunters are interested in this now is for that quiet approach. You know, whether you're hunting in a small acreage back east for whitetails and you don't want to disturb the neighbors with a 338 Win Mag going bang, you get something like this and it's really quiet. But now, if a 338 Win Mag or even a 338 Federal, say, is adequate for whitetail or really more than you need for whitetail, how slow can you go and still be effective? Think of some of the older cartridges out there. One of the more popular and famous in the 20th century, the early 20th century, was the 35 Remington. That's right here. Let's compare that to this guy. 35 caliber, 33 caliber. But by golly, they're not all that far apart. And the velocity of this one with a 200 grain bullet is around 2,100 feet per second. This one is a lot slower, but it's a lot heavier bullet. So it makes up for its decreased velocity with the mass and momentum of that big bullet. Of course, you have to have a hunting bullet, and they offer one, at least one, which is a 350 grain hollow point that expands like, as someone said, a grappling hook. I didn't bring it with me to show you, but check my previous video on the Q-Fix and we showed that one. That is some incredible expansion. Another cartridge that is fairly similar in the ballpark is the 32 Winchester Special. That's basically your 30-30 necked up to 32 caliber, so you're getting pretty close to that 338. And then a modern version is what I mentioned earlier, the 338 Federal. So you've got 3 cartridges here, 2 of which are quite old from the early part of the 20th century, and then a more modern 338, which is just a 308 Winchester necked up. And they're all kind of landing in that same ballpark as this 8.6. So I think it's justified to shoot it, but it's subsonic. What happens if you want it to go a little faster? They've got a solution, and the solution comes from Just Cause Solutions, who sent me this ammo to try out. They've just started loading this. It's a 180 grain Maker T-Rex bullet. Those are the same manufactured bullets we were shooting last time, 350 grains, but this one's a lot lighter. It is going to go sonic. I don't know what we're going to get for velocities. We're about to find out. Got the Garmin ready to go. I think the scope is zeroed. I just bore sighted and it looked like it was pretty close on. Let's try a 50-yard target, see how fast this thing's going, and then we'll begin to understand exactly what this can do. Hey, after my last video on the Q-Fix, I had a small scope on it, and somebody said, you really got more out of that rifle if you put a bigger scope on it. So I slapped on this Maven we've been testing. Really impressed with this thing. It's got more than enough power for an 8.6, but it's enabled me to reach out to 400 yards. And that really surprised me with this little slow cartridge. But really impressed with these scopes. You guys might want to check them out. Maven, something new, but they're sharp, good resolution. Nice contrast control, good flare control, and they dial accurately and come back. Okay, boys and squirrels. Everybody ready? Knocked the old Garmin right over. 2,121 feet per second, guys. That is right there with the 35 Remington. The bullet weight is a little less at 180, but not that far off. I think we've got a pretty comparable cartridge launching right here. Now, I thought I was pretty close, and by golly, I'm not too far off. I'm 2 inches high and 2.5 inches to the right. So let's give it a quickie. Ideally, you guys, you do want to shoot a 3-shot group and not trust that first shot, especially when you're shooting with a suppressor. A lot of times your first shot out through a suppressor when it's cold is different from after it's warmed up. But do figure this, if you're hunting with it, you want to know where that first shot is landing. If your second shot's an inch or two off, not that big of a deal. You've probably got your deer already. So the elevation on this, I think, is about right. 50 yards, 2 up, maybe that's a bit much. But let's double check and see what it's doing at 100 yards before we make that adjustment. Oh, that's right, I put 3 rounds in. So let's just go to the next one and see if we made an adequate correction. Straight up, guys, straight up. I like it. Cool. Now, we don't know what our ballistics are. I haven't run a ballistics chart on it. So I think we're going to step out to 100 yards and just see where we're landing. Now, that target has 3 holes in it from something we shot earlier, probably a 22. I think we'll be all right to push one out there. That round went 2,133 feet per second. Dead center. Yep, it's straight up, guys. Now, it's still plenty high. Went up 1, 2, 3, 4 inches high. That's a little too much, guys. Not too far off, but a little bit much. So let's take that baby down. I think, this should be about right. 2.5 to 3 inches high at 100, maybe down one more. This should put us at about 2, 2.5. That should be about right. So we're going to be pretty close to, say, an inch high at 50 yards. 25 yards really won't matter. We'll be fine to hold dead on a whitetail out to at least 100 yards. Then we'll see what we can do at 150 and 200 to really get a feel for this thing. But boy, thus far, I'm kind of liking it. Came down an inch. So now I am about 2.5 high. I don't mind being 2.5 high at 100 yards, guys. For whitetails, you know, you've got a chest about like this. You aim for the center, you're 2.5 high, you got the upper lungs. If you hold for the lower third of the chest out to about 100 yards, you're probably going to hit him in the heart or just above it. Deadly shot. And that'll give us a little bit more reach for that 150-yard shot. Now we're going to have to go out there and put a target up at 150, see how much drop we have, and then we'll have a good feel for what we need to do at 200 yards. So hang in there. All right, we got 2,124.5 feet per second out of that last shot. We're averaging 2,120 right now. Let's try 150 yards, see how much drop we get with a dead-on hold at the center of that bullseye. All right, bullet, where did you land? Oh, it's still about a ½ inch high, shooting a little bit to the right. The last 2 shots were a little bit right, so make a correction here. Go lefty a little bit. Okay. Wow, that's still on at 150, guys. That's better than that 35 Remington or even a 30-30 would be doing. So this is looking good for a 200-yard rifle, at least, with this 180 grain bullet. All right, let's see if we can make a gong, gong, gong. I think given that 150-yard shot, I shouldn't have any trouble dropping one into the nearly center of this thing if I find it in this scope turned up too high. There it is. I'll just hold for the top third of it. I heard a ding. It's swinging. I think it's about to expire, but it's still swinging. Well, let's see what we can do at 300, guys. Let's get a big clang out of this guy. I heard a bell. I heard a bell. Ha! Nice. Quite a bit of elevation hold on that one, guys. It was dropping pretty significantly. Which, with a big bullet like that, you'd expect at some point she'd start to plummet. Hey, we're going to try to capture a bullet here. We've got some water jugs out there set against a dirt bank and see what this Maker Rex 180 grain bullet looks like if we can recover it from some water, about a 40, 50 yard shot. Oh, we put a hole in the jug and some water splashed up. Let's go see if we can find that bullet. See if there's a bullet in anybody here. Piece of one. Got a nose. One nose pedal. It's gonna put a hurt on a whitetail or a black bear. Now we need to look in the dirt, boys. Here it is. At least another piece. All right, here's the third nose pedal, or the second nose pedal. Same as the first. I like that. I like a little shrapnel coming off these copper bullets. I've gotten good results using the hammer bullets like that. But by golly, for hunting out to 200 yards, probably 250, for, gosh, even elk, something like this could really work. So despite its rather puny size, I think the 8.6 Blackout is a legitimate big game cartridge. And you get it in a compact, short little rifle like this. It's kind of the, I don't know if it's the new trend, but it's kind of the latest thing out there. And it seems like a lot of young folks appreciate that. I'm going to stick with my classics by and large, but I always enjoy experimenting with some of this new stuff and just seeing what it can do. That's how we learn new things, and who knows, you might discover you just like a new approach, and this is one of them. The Q-Fix in an 8.6 Blackout. Who'd have thunk it? Ron Spomer, Hunt Honest and Shoot Straight. I think I need to plug my ears a little bit.